The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
Well, good morning. I do a bit of public speaking, and that was the longest introduction I've ever had. Well, let me extend my welcome to all of you to this fantastic convention. It is actually my first time at this convention, and when I was here the last couple of days, I really felt like I was at home. Just being amongst all of you is really a thrill for me, and I know in giving this speech that I'm actually speaking to some of the best wrestling coaches and people in the country. Many of your programs I've been following probably before you were even the coach there. So it's really a thrill and an honor to be here today, and I appreciate all of you being here, taking time from your summer schedules and your family to come out and improve yourself. So please accept my welcome and my humble appreciation of being here in front of all of you today. Before I begin, I would like to extend a congratulations to the team that puts this on. So why don't we, I don't know everyone's name, but if you're with the NWCA, would you please stand for a moment? If you're with the organization putting this on. All the staff, folks, stand up. Come on, don't be shy. I need everybody. Raise your hand. Give these folks a big round of applause. If there was a wrestling tournament and you were ranked by how much you contributed to the sport of wrestling, these folks would be All-Americans and national champs. And they're led by Mike Moyer, who's here in front. And a big thank you goes out to Mike for his leadership and all that he's doing for our fantastic sport. So congratulations, Mike. Round of applause for Mike, please. My theme today is the business of wrestling. And my subtitle is, we can all do a little better. We can all do a little better. And that has been a theme in my business life as I built the company. The theme was everybody can do a little better. And if you have an organization of 250 people like our firm, and if everybody did a little better, if the receptionist did a little better, and if the multi-million-dollar producer did a little better, then the entire organization did phenomenal. So what I hope to accomplish today is talk about a few lessons in business that I think can help wrestling. At first when I was thinking about being with you, I was going to spend up my time telling you about how wrestling helped me. And I could spend, really a lot of time on that. It changed my life for the better, I might add. But today, I'd like to share some ideas that maybe, from a give-back point of view, maybe we can all do a little better. Before I begin, am I going the right way? I'd like to dedicate my talk. And my talk is dedicated to my high school coach, Ken Hunt. Now, Ken Hunt is a Hall of Fame coach. He was a two-time NCAA runner-up, three-time EIWA champ. Coach Hunt has long passed away. But I find it, here's a picture. Here's a picture of Ken Hunt. He's the guy in the middle. The other guy in the dark jacket, that's actually Sprig Gardner. Sprig Gardner is known as the father of wrestling on Long Island. And we were and are still a hotbed of wrestling. And the kid in the robe, back then they wore robes. That happens to be me before I lost some of my hair, as you could tell. That was actually a Nassau County championship. And that picture's still hanging on the wall in our house somewhere, and my kids make fun of me. But I want to dedicate my talk to my coach. But what I'd like you to take about that, though, is this. That's 45 years ago. Now, 45 years have gone by, and I'm dedicating a talk to a high school coach. And what I'd like you to imagine for a minute in my talk today, might there be somebody 45 years from now that's dedicating their talk to one of you? Because the reason why you do this is you build young people. You build young people. That's why you do it. And wouldn't it be wild to think for a minute to stay focused on why you do this, because you build young people. And 45 years later, there may be some guy that's going to say, I want to dedicate my talk to my college coach, to my high school coach. You have such a unique opportunity, and really, my hat goes off to the work you all do. And maybe someday, 45 years from now, someone's going to say, I dedicate my talk to my coach. That's a pretty spectacular opportunity. So with that, I'm going to jump into my comments today. But before I do, I'm going to try a little experiment. I need to see by a show of hands if we have anybody new in the room, first-time attendee. Now, I got any first-time attendees? Wow, take a look around. And by the way, those of you that have been around, make sure you mentor up with these folks and pull them along the way, and if you see a first-time attendee. But I'm going to need a volunteer, right? I'm going to need a volunteer to help me with something about doing a little better. All right, so can I just see those hands again? Volunteer? Oh, wait, what happened to all the first-time attendees? Okay, I'm going to take this guy right here. Joe, right? Come on up, Joe. Give him a round of applause. Come on over this side, Joe. Could you help me for a second? Could you bring that banner right over here? All right, so those of you in the back, if you can't see, you can stand up along that back wall. But we're going to try a little experiment about getting a little better, and we're going to have a little competition this morning. Joe, where are you from? Philadelphia. From Philadelphia. Where do you live now, Joe? Hamilton, New Jersey. And where do I live? New Jersey. It's just not a coincidence that I picked Joe. I met him earlier. He didn't know I was prospecting at the time for a volunteer. But Joe, thanks for volunteering. You're going to have a few laughs. You will not be hurt. You will not be embarrassed. I don't think. All right. So if you step up here with me, Joe. What we're going to do this morning is I'm going to ask you to do a very simple task. I'm going to simply ask you to stand by this wall. I'm going to ask you to make a vertical leap and jump as high as you can and tap the wall, okay? So, Joe, here's the thing about this. I need you to jump as high as you can. No holding back. One time only. One jump only. As high as you can. All you got. Leave it all out on the mat. Okay? You clear, Joe? So you just repeat back what the task here is and what your task is to accomplish. Say it again. As high as I can. One try only. Touch the wall. High as you can. No second chance. Okay? You ready to go? Okay, good. So the gentleman that brought the ladder up, would you come over here for a second? Great. So you can just stand right over here for a minute. Okay, Joe, you right here. And in a moment, you're going to do your jump. I'm going to mock. Okay, Joe, somewhere where I can reach. Like, coming closer, Joe. This wasn't in the speaker's manual, I want you to know. All right, Joe, whenever you're ready, if you guys give me a little help, a little encouragement, a round of applause. All right, here we go. Come on, Joe. Oh, okay, I got it. Joe, a little bit closer to me would have been appreciated. Okay. All right, now, Joe, we're going to... This is very valuable. Well, let's move the ladder a little closer. Okay, so Joe, you jumped as high as you could, right? You gave it all you got, left and left, right? That was the instructions, right, Coach? Okay, so I'm going to take a $20 bill and inch above that one. All right, now, Joe, it's real simple. If you touch the 20, you buy beers tonight. Hold on, let me get that ladder out of the way. Now, this is simple, bro. Who said wrestlers can't jump? This guy like all right. If Joe touches the 20, he gets to keep it, okay? So a little encouragement. Give Joe maybe oh! Did you get it? One more try, Joe. I'm going to take your time. Go ahead. Hold it. The bill is set up. Okay, Joe. Yeah, he gets the bottom of it. Good job, Joe. I appreciate it. Okay. Hey, so here's what happened. I asked Joe to give me what you got, and he did. and then he did it a little bit better, right? He did it a little bit better. And what I'm going to ask you to do during my presentation, are you working? Okay, is just to have a mindset here for about 30 minutes about getting a little bit better. So, Joe, thanks a lot. From Philadelphia, Hamilton, thank you. All right, I'm going to talk with you about the 3 pillars of building a business. And obviously what I'm hoping to do is have you make the transition when I talk about the 3 pillars of building a business. To me, the same 3 pillars apply to building your programs and to building wrestling. So they're going to be broken down into 3 categories: hiring good people, developing leaders, and relationships. I want to tell you in advance about the relationships. They're not about relationships with your constituents. They're not about the relationship with me and my leaders and my salespeople. It's about a relationship between you and your institution, the institutions you represent. In this room, mostly colleges and many high schools. So those are the 3 things, and if time permits, I'm going to spend a few minutes and talk about the WIBN program nationally, and then if time permits, we'll talk a little about what happened at the All-Star match this year. So let's jump in. Let's jump into the first pillar. So the first pillar, which is hiring good people, can also be titled recruiting and or prospecting for good people. Now, if you're a high school coach here, I just maybe think of the word prospecting. Prospecting is the concept of finding new clients. In the business world, you need to be finding new clients all the time. Relentless, never ends. The biggest, most successful producers in our firm, the $1 million earners, when they go to bed at night, they think about their last thought when they go to bed is, how am I going to find another big client? And when they wake up in the morning, these driven, multi-million-dollar producers, when they wake up in the morning, and I'm meeting them for coffee at 7:30 to go over their day or their week in our accountability meetings, their first thought when they wake up in the morning is, how am I going to find another big client? They're constantly prospecting. They're constantly recruiting. And I suggest that bridge applies in our world. Depending which stat you read, our numbers are down in participation. And I heard a report yesterday about how many high school kids and how many kids starting in the kiddie programs and what's happening at the different levels of wrestling. We need to be constantly prospecting. From my point of view, it's the same thing. It's the parallel universe. And to that, the challenge would be if everybody recruited, if every high school coach in America recruited 1 more kid to their program, we actually solved the problem of the bad PR we're getting with low numbers participating in our sport. If everybody just did 1 more, everybody just did a little bit better, problem solved. Everybody do a little bit better, the whole organization rises, is the theory here. So I'm going to talk with you about some principles about hiring good people. And you will make the connection, I hope, and I'm going to share with you some of my thoughts about how they apply to your world. Okay, so to begin, the candidate, and you might want to get your pencil out because I'm going to march through some of these, and I'm going to go through some of them fast if you're interested, and we can get you the copy of the slides at the end if you're so inclined. But the first one I want to talk with you about is an attitude. You see, the candidate, in my world, the potential hire, he actually doesn't care how much I know. He actually doesn't care that I know about mutual funds and I could tell you the taxation on 401k plans and first in and first out. He doesn't care that I know about group insurance and disability insurance and deferred compensation plans. He does not care, or she does not care about that in the beginning. What they care about is, do I care about them? That's what they care about. Every piece of research that we've ever done, all over almost any industry, is they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. I'm thinking that lands right in your wheelhouse. So you're a high school coach and you're in the hallway, I'm hoping, trying to recruit kids in. They actually don't care about how technically competent you are. They actually don't care. You know what? They don't care what kind of car I drive. They don't care that I have a fancy automobile. They want to know, is your team and are you going to care about me and my career and my family? That's the number one thing they care about. You want someone to join you? Now, I've been recruiting people for 40 years. I did some math for this talk, and I was like shocked. I've been involved in recruiting 25,000 salespeople, either directly, indirectly, or through the systems I built that are used nationally. In fact, the number was higher, but I was almost embarrassed to say I think it's 45,000. I was like, oh my God, I used to be a heavyweight, and then I just got worn down from all that recruiting. Of course not. But anyway, so you need to know your candidate. So what do I mean you need to know your candidate? Well, I need to know all about that candidate. I need to know about their dreams and their goals and what do they want to accomplish in their life? What do they want for their kids and their family? I need to know that because I want them to leave their current firm and I want them to join my firm. It's competitive. And I better know all about my candidates so that way I can connect with them and hopefully they will then join my firm. Hopefully they will come out for wrestling and not go out for the Frisbee team. Hopefully they will see the reason for being part of your program as they're leaving high school. You're going to know your candidate. The third thing we've seen is that you need to know your product. Now, I just said to you, they don't care about what you know until they know how you care. Yeah, but once we get over that, then they need to know that you know your product. Now, I know what my products were. We sold financial instruments to companies and wealthy individuals. But your product is your program, your wrestling room, your systems, your assistant coaches, how you develop people, what your goals are. You know your product. And you have to be passionate about your product. You have to be extremely passionate about it. In fact, the next key forgot to move the slide. The next key in recruitment of good people in business is you have to have extreme passion. To get people to take action takes more than you think. And it needs to take extreme passion about your belief and your values. And when you're running a firm and you can show that you have that kind of belief in what you do and how you impact clients' lives, and that you're there to change people's lives, then people will join you. Then they'll join you. But it takes extreme. When they leave the recruiting process, when they leave the conference room, when they get home, I need them to say to their spouse or their significant other or their mom or dad, we recruit a lot of young kids, I need them to say, wow, those guys, I love this. Right. Yeah, that's what we actually do. And our goal is to build you. Now I know your goals, I know your dreams, and we care about you, and we will take on a program which we call adoption. Our attitude as a leadership team, 26 full-time managers, building 5 or 6 local offices between Philadelphia and Manhattan, a grinding market. That's a tough market. We took on an attitude which is adopting when we hire new people. We adopt them. Think about adopting a child for a moment. And all the commitment that goes to that. Well, if you want to get a multi-million-dollar producer to leave his firm and join my firm, then you better have extreme passion and you better adopt them. And all that comes with adoption, caring, giving. So I'm thinking, as we're thinking about the future of wrestling, and we're thinking about building our sport, that for me, I owe like my whole life to. Almost. I mean, I do have a wife and a couple of kids. But then we need to take on this adoption approach. I think that is transferable. Actually, I personally think it works better in your world. It's a little hard to adopt a 48-year-old, but you're dealing with young people. Okay, I have a couple more on this prospecting and recruiting. Selecting versus selling. So it's kind of interesting though, but wait a minute, I don't want everybody. I don't want everybody to join my firm. We established a series of criteria. And once you met the criteria, then we're full court press. Once we determine, then we're selling you. We want to persuade you to join our firm. because you met my criteria. And it's hard to keep your criteria high if you don't have a lot of prospects. You see, if you have no one, then you're taking anybody. You know, if you're losing your salespeople and your sales force is dwindling and somebody shows up and you're like, oh yeah, you're looking great, come on in. I know, and it's the same thing in our world, in your world. If you don't have a good roster with enough people on it, then maybe you'll take on the wrong guy. Maybe you'll take on someone with a bad attitude, doing all wrong things, reflecting on you and your community and your school and your institution, and then it's a spiral downhill. So you have to have your criteria of who you're willing to work with. Who do you want to develop? Who do you want to spend your time with? Who do I want to give my time and the precious commodity of time? Who do I want to spend that with? What type of organization do I want to lead? What is the reputation of the firm? And then I'm going to select people that fit it. And you can't do that if you don't have a lot to select from. So the message in hiring good people is have a lot of people to talk to. Talking to a lot of people, oh, found one. Okay, full court press. Everybody just gets one more, we solve the problem. Everybody just gets one more, a little better. Just jump a little bit higher, and everybody can. Everybody can get a little better. This recruiting is a team effort. And what I mean by a team effort, I mean your team, my team. The better and more desirable the candidate, the more you need your team on it. So it's not just meeting me, but you're going to see in a moment, this new generation Z, they like and they want to feel good about the entire team. Because they know, once they begin, that you, the head guy in the firm, may not be the one meeting them every day. You, as the head coach, might not be the one developing them every day. So they want to know the whole team. So it's a team effort. The more people you have involved in that, the higher probability of you landing the candidate. And then lastly is know your numbers. So we have a very successful internship program at Northwestern. We've been innovative on this. I was an intern for the company that I then had a 40-year career with. So we know our numbers. So I want to give you an example. We know that if we have 4 interns, that we are going to eliminate 2 of them. We're going to say, no, thank you. We got to know you. You don't fit. You don't meet our criteria. One of them is going to eliminate us. One of these young people are going to say, you're not what we want, what I want to do. I didn't like it here. And then one of them is going to join the firm. So I know my numbers. So if I want to recruit 10 interns, if I want to recruit 10 new salespeople out of the intern block, then I know I need 40 of them. So, okay, we got a goal now, 40. You need to know your numbers. How many student athletes do you need to talk to? What is the attrition rate in your school? How many kids are making it through? You know, the NCAA keeps stats on all this, and it's called the APR. Did I say that right, Mike? Our APR is not so great as a sport. The APR, which tracks kids when they start to when they graduate, we're actually not that great. We have to improve this. Know your numbers. So what I'm hoping to do here on the recruiting and making the parallel universe to getting a little better for us in wrestling, lessons from business, I wanted to talk about this really important topic, which now I'm going to move on to the second pillar. So the second pillar, before I do, I want to make some comments about this generational stuff. Kind of interesting. You know, I want to tell you a little story. I brought my leadership team out to a team building event. A couple of years ago, we did the high ropes course. Anybody do that? You know what I'm talking about? You go up on these ropes and it's pretty scary and you're harnessed in and you have to climb a pole. And you climb this pole, and when you get to the top, you have to stand on top of the pole, which means you actually have to let go. Because there's no more, as you're climbing the pole like this, when you get to the top of the pole, you sort of have to let go and put your foot up. It's perceived danger. And everybody on our team, there was a little competitiveness to the other team that was doing it there. And we're at the bottom of the pole, and we got to get everybody up the pole. And our team is at the bottom of the pole. Everybody's screaming, come on, get up the pole. You can do it. Come on, move your left foot, move your right. And everybody's screaming and yelling. It's exciting and fun. And one of the women on my team, by the way, a brilliant woman, 2 master's degrees, very, very successful leader, built a big organization. She comes up to me and she says, Joe, can I talk to you? I said, what's up? She said, I actually don't do well with multiple people screaming at me. I said, oh. I thought everybody did great. I thought everybody liked the whole team to be rooting for you and screaming at you and you could do it. I thought everybody liked that. No, she said, no. Well, that would be horrible for me. I don't hear all that. And by the way, this is an extremely accomplished person. She said, let me tell you what I do well with. I do well with one voice. I need one voice giving me instructions, and I don't do well with heights. I'm scared to death of this exercise. I need one person to reassure me. I need everybody else to shut up. And she used some profanity in the shut up part. That's the truth. So I said, okay, who do you want? Who do you want to be the one voice? She said, not you. I mean, this is going downhill. So she picked a person that she related to, who was a mentor that helped her in the early years, and she was connected to this other person, and we all got together and said, everybody shut up. And we need to get Phyllis to the top of the pole, and she's afraid of heights. I know, so the lesson there is about, for me, the lesson was, not everybody is led the same. Not every generation has the same traits and characteristics. And young people, specifically, currently, these 2 new generations I'm going to talk with you about here very briefly, and I'm no expert at them, but I try to become informed. I try to become informed because they're the future, right? They're the future. By the way, we had a good talk yesterday about the future. Where's Lonnie? Are you here, Lonnie? Did you make it this morning? Lonnie, a great coach from Johnson & Wales, said he doesn't call it JV anymore. He calls it the future tournament. Because JV is like, the JV kids carry the mat. You're nothing. You're a loser. Carry the mat and wash the mats. So, when we have the young people start, we adopted that same philosophy years ago, where you make the young people feel good and positive. You're the future. That's a little different than the JV team, right? Which we all know. But anyway, she made it to the top of the pole, thank goodness. And I want to just give you some characteristics of this. So you all have been hearing about the millennials, and these are some of the characteristics about them. They want opportunities to learn and grow. And they want to have relationships with the leadership team. And they want to make a social impact. They want to do something charitable. If you're an organization and you don't have that, they might not stay with your firm. You better have an arm that makes an impact and you give back. And then they want a good work environment and they want to use technology. But now that group is at the top end of that group. They're 29 years old, and none of you mostly are not recruiting them. You're not talking to them as prospective people for your organizations. We are, but you're not. You're actually talking to this new generation, which is called the Z generation. There's just new stuff coming out on the Z generation, but you're talking to them. They're currently age 10, and they're right about age 16. Next 2 years, you're talking to them. Now, they're a little different, but they have some of the same traits as the millennials, but they're motivated by security, interestingly. They're more competitive. That plays well. That plays well to the kind of business I'm in, and that plays well to the kind of sport we have. This generation is more entrepreneurial. We're an individual effort sport. Selling, my world of, getting clients is an individual effort sport. They like to communicate face to face. I know that one threw me off. I thought they were going to do everything digitally. No, they are going to do everything digitally, but they want to talk face to face to you, the leader. And then in addition to that, they want to be catered to. They want it their way. So if you're going to get and have a big party, I'm going to throw an event for all of our employees, and we're going to hire a band. Well, I got to get a committee of the young guys and pick the band. Because I'm doing the remake of the Beatles, right? And they're going, oh no, who are they? So I'm thinking this is like right in your wheelhouse. You need to be aware of the kind of people that you're bringing in, and you need to know the kinds of drivers that move them, and then you need to connect to that. We don't have the luxury, I used to go to these career fairs way back, and we always would get a little booth, and there'd be long lines like for the Keynote Junior Manager Program. And I'm saying, well, we have like a multi-million-dollar firm that can change your life, and nobody's coming to our booth. Who wants to do sales? Well, I don't know, but I mean, that's the sport. I'm preaching to the converted here. We all love it. But in the real world, you all know this. We're not exactly the popular sport. People are not lining up. Maybe I don't think they're knocking on the door. Coach, I want to join wrestling this year. Got to turn them down. You didn't make the team. We have too many kids on our roster. Rosters are dropping in terms of numbers. So, we got to just be aware of how and what is the profile of what we're dealing with in business. And then I think that lesson applies directly to building our programs and the future of our sport. Okay, the next pillar, I want to talk about developing leaders. Now, this is probably, if I had to pick something, this is a love of mine and been a passion of mine for a long time. For today, I'm simply going to talk about developing leaders, meaning developing high, productive, producing people. That's what I'm talking about. They produce. Right? They're leaders in my firm. They're leaders in our business. You can define it in your rooms. Who are productive. Has probably a lot to do with winning and scoring and having a good attitude and helping others. Okay, so first of all, we use a joint work model. So if we have Mr. Big and he's coming in for a meeting and it just so happens that the newest guy landed the account, well, we're not letting the newest guy do that alone. Well, he's going to mess it up most likely. We need to get somebody in there with some gray hair that's going to talk about this client wants to invest millions of dollars. So we do joint work. It's the old apprenticeship. It's like back in the day when the carpenter worked with the senior carpenter and learned the craft. That concept actually works. It's also known as mentorship. That is one of the strong suits of building an organization. That the person going up the ladder is pulling the person up the ladder with them, behind them. Seems to me that would work perfect in our world. So I used to train jiu-jitsu, and when you'd go to work out, you'd line up in belt order. White belts in the beginning, black belts at the end. And then the first guy in line, the newest guy, he trains with the last guy. So I'm a white belt a couple of years ago. I'm now going back and I'm training with the black belt. And of course I'm thinking, how hard could this be? I was a wrestler, Oh, no. And then what's happening to me, because the expression is always a white belt. The black belts, probably in this room, the expression is always a white belt. Always learning, always developing, always pulling the other guy up. Use of mentors is a very strong model in business. Of course, expectations with accountability. This topic is particularly powerful in developing leaders. The best of the best want accountability and will tell you they don't need it. They want it, but they don't need it. But the best of the best have multiple places of accountability. The best producers in my industry, the highest income earners, have 5 points of accountability. They have accountability to the manager of the firm, the leader of the firm. They have accountability to their account-a-buddy. An account-a-buddy is that guy in your office that you're saying, hey, you and I both want to increase our productivity. Let's have coffee every Monday and talk about what we're going to do. An account-a-buddy. Then there's a peer study group where you meet with 6 people once a month. And during that meeting, you're reporting how your month went. Sometimes it's not fun to report when you didn't work, when you took time off and you didn't reach your goals. You said you were going to do something, you didn't do it. And your buddies, your peers hold you to it. Much more powerful than me holding you to it. That's 3 points of accountability. Then you have usually a spouse or significant other. And then you should put it on your refrigerator with the magnets that says to the kids, if dad hits his sales goal, we're going to Disney World. You want to be accountable? Go public to your children with your goals. You won't let them down. I had a guy that was telling me that, he just can't get up in the morning. He has a problem. He can't get up. He can't get to the office early. I'm going to meet you, Joe, at 7 a.m. I'm at 7 a.m. I'm drinking coffee. Where's Fred? He can't get up in the morning. So we set an alarm clock in his newborn baby's room. And then we set his alarm clock for 5 minutes before the alarm clock in the baby's room. Yeah, I know, he was not motivated by me telling him to get there, but when you find out what drives people and you figure out their goals and dreams, and they have faults and have weaknesses like we all do, and then you find a way to develop that, and then you create a leader. Now, I will tell you, I just want to tell you, that was working for a while until he got up, shut off the alarm in the baby's room, and then he went back to bed. I said, now I'm done. I finished. That's it. That's all I got, you know. All right, so we're talking about developing leaders and productivity. Recognition. You want to change a culture, recognize and reward it. In business, it's most likely financial reward. Could be trips and prizes. You hit the sales goal, you and your new bride are going to Mexico with my wife and I. Anybody hits their sales goal. I've been to every, Bahamas, Mexico. I was actually a big one in my career and in my business that we would do recognition sales trips. You hit the goal, we're going. And I'm telling you, you want to have fun, go on a trip that someone else is paying for. And then when you hit one, you always hit them. Why would you lose a free trip? You want to change your culture, reward it and recognize it. So I was just a volunteer coach, and you guys know all about this, and many of you are doing all these things already, by the way. If I haven't said that, I know this group is. But we used to get our little pins, so if you used the Turk, you got a pin. And years later, I met a kid and he said, that's why I did the Turk. I wanted to get those pins. I was like, I know you missed the point here, but that's okay. You want to change the culture on something, recognize it and reward it. You want to change the culture of my office, we're having some problems with retention, then we need to do things to recognize and reward it. Same thing in your room. The business lessons can be applied and we all get a little better, and next thing you know, we're killing it. Now you're going, and once this thing gets going, it's hard to stop. Different styles for different people. I actually already told you that about you better not lead everybody the same, because that's just not going to work. And then I want to add that you need a uniform message. You need a uniform message. So our message was we want to be a positive influence and help people achieve financial security. That was our mission of our firm. We want to help people achieve financial security. And the way we do that, and we listed the ways to do it. Well, one of the things we didn't do was what's called elephant hunting. Elephant hunting is where you try to go find Mr. Big and land the big case. Spend all your time chasing down the big case. You've seen Wall Street or some of these movies where they're just trying to land the big one, right? Well, that wasn't our firm. We got our share of big ones more than probably anybody else in our market, but that wasn't our mission. The mission wasn't finding the biggest clients. It was helping people achieve financial security. I know, but if my frontline leaders are not uniformed with the mission of the firm, which is my role as the head of the firm to set. It's your role as the head of your program to set the vision and the mission and how we're going to do it. But if you have people on that organization that are leaders and they're saying, oh, no, don't listen to Joe. What you should do is go find the big, go spend all your time chasing Mr. Big. The people that are following are going to go in and I don't know what's going on. You need a uniform message. I mean, really, practically speaking, imagine you're a high school coach and you have a new wrestler and you have 3 coaches on the bench and they're all yelling different stuff. That's not going to work. I mean, that's elementary, but it's very powerful. Everybody aligned is very powerful to create leaders, to get a little better. Everybody aligned. There's some expression that goes something like, if you want to travel fast, travel alone, but if you want to go long, you got to go with a team. You got to go with a team if you want to go long. So if your vision is long and you're trying to build something, it's not tomorrow, it's not overnight, it's going to happen, well, then you need that team and you need it to be aligned. I'll even go so far to say, if you are committed and someone's not aligned, they either got to get aligned or they got to get out. That's how damaging misalignment is in the culture. Okay, build confidence. So when I was earlier in my career, I would have people say, I'm just lacking confidence. I just don't have the confidence. And I'd like, how do you build confidence? How do you build confidence? Now, for a moment, I'm going to even talk about young people in their career. They don't have experience yet. How do you build confidence? So I asked my father, and my father was a washing machine repairman, and he drove a truck. He didn't have a college degree, World War II veteran. He just had all kinds of wisdom, you know. We had a great rapport. I was very blessed. And he said, well, when I go into a home to fix a washing machine, and it's not one of the machines that I know how to fix, I feel horrible. Those poor family not going to have their clothes washed, and you know, it's just terrible, and I have no confidence in that situation. I said, well, what do? He says, I study up on that washing machine. Next time I'll know how to fix it. So, okay, I got that, all right. So, you want to build confidence? Build competence. You want to build confidence? Build competencies. So, we have training every Monday morning at 6:30 a.m., and then we have training every Friday at 3:30 p.m. Because Fridays in the summer at the Jersey Shore, there's nobody in the office. Now, I know they're having all those tans, and I don't know what's happening, but you're going to be in the office at training on Friday. You're going to train. Now, you know, it goes back to wrestling. You know, you're going to work hard. You're going to outwork our competition. But we're going to do training every Monday and Friday. And then you're going to have a mentor. And then you're going to go to 4 conventions a year. And then in 5 years, you're going to have your certified financial planning designation. And you're going to become competent. And then I'm going to fill my office with experts. I'm going to fill my office with experts. So if you have a client that needs a will, we have an attorney on site. You have a client that needs a 401k plan, I got a 401k plan specialist. You need life insurance, disability insurance, annuities. You need it, we have a specialist on site. You know, that makes me feel a little competent. Now you're competent, it builds confidence, and it spirals. You want to create leaders, build competencies. So how about you and your programs? What are you doing to build competency? What are you doing to build competencies? Are you using experts? Now, most of you are. Most of you are doing a lot of these things. There are some programs that I know in my community that are not doing that. There are some coaches there that are not doing that. There are some coaches that aren't bringing in technicians, aren't bringing someone in about nutrition, strength. You know, there's a coach, and, you know, him and I, anyway, we don't see eye to eye. And I said, you should be a track coach, really. The kids come in, and then you send them to the pool, and they run, and then you send them home. That's why you got to bring somebody to teach them wrestling. But anyway, you have to use experts. Okay, so we talked about 2 pillars. The goal to get a little bit better. We talked about getting good people. We talked about development of people. I call it feet on the street. We need people, and then you need hands on their shoulders. We need hands on shoulders. You need hands-on helping people if you want to really take them to another level in their career. Just change the words. You need feet on the street. You need rosters. You need people in the programs. You got to recruit them and prospect them, and then you need to develop them. That's a big job, and it's not easy. And I started by telling you I dedicated my talk because of the impact my high school coach had on me 45 years ago, but it is very worthy. It is really worthy work you do. Okay, I want to wrap up with this. I want to wrap up on the business part of this with relationships. And what I told you earlier on is I want to talk about relationships to your institution. In my world, it would be to the home office, to the corporate office. Because without this, you could be doing a lot of good things, but you need this piece as well. All right, so to begin with, when I talk about institution, I'm referring to probably your schools, right? In the world that I come out of, in the business world, it's, as I said, most likely in my case, it was Northwestern Mutual's home office. And they were in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I wish I would have picked a company that had a little warmer weather. But anyway, for me, it was in relationship with the institution I represented. Now, the first thing you have to do is you need to have a go-to person in that institution. I needed my go-to person. They changed over time. Sometimes you get lucky. I'm going to tell you a story about that. We have these conventions, and one of them was always fun. It was a big picnic, and I would go, and I like throwing horseshoes, you know, so I'd be over in the picnic playing horseshoes. There's a guy I used to play with. I didn't know him. Then I got to know him, and every year we played horseshoes, and his career was growing, and my career was going, and over 20 years, he actually became the president of the company. Nationally, Northwestern Mutual, 6th largest financial institution on the face of the planet, is my horseshoe buddy now. I know, so when I have a tough issue, I actually could call and say, hey Nick, how are you doing? Great, it's Joe, what's up? Good, hey, you been playing any horseshoes? No, anyway, what's up? How's your family? Great. Hey, I need to talk to you about something. I know, I had an open line to the president of the company. It was because I played horseshoes with him. I developed a relationship. You need a go-to person in your institution. You most likely know who it is. This is your person, and I might add, you need to have one of them at the top. You need a person at the top of the institution. So when you have the real serious issue, you're not some stranger. You're somebody that has a relationship with a person at the top of the organization. In many of your cases, it would be the principal of your high school. It could be the school board. You know, when I was volunteering at our local high school, I suggested to our coach we should make a presentation to the school board. My buddy was on the school board, so we got time. We talked about wrestling and what it does. We had a state champ. They had an honored him for the day. And we got key to the city. Because we had a relationship with our institution. It's not always the one you think. It's not necessarily just your school. It could be the school board. It could be the principal. It could be the superintendent. It could be the president of the company. It could be my go-to person, director of underwriting, senior vice president of the East Coast. I need a relationship with the institution you represent. You have to develop rapport with people that service you. So I told you earlier, I come up from a blue-collar family. My dad was a serviceman. He serviced people in their homes. He drove a truck. He was a delivery man. So when I deal with service people, I'm extraordinarily respectful of them. People that service me, a waiter, for example, I'm just very respectful because it could have been my dad, But the point of my story is there are people that service me in business and they service you. For me, it was the underwriters. I just want to make sure I'm friends with the underwriters because they could kill a deal and say, decline. So I worked 4 years to get this account. Sorry, decline. No client, no impact, no commissions. All right, so you have to develop people that are clean in the match, that are your people in your organization. You have to have really good relationships with people that service you. And it'll really just help everybody get a little better. All right, you need to be positive in public about the institution you represent. There's just nothing worse, in my opinion, than someone that fouls their own nest. Someone that's just bashing the very institution that they represent. If you don't like it, either get part of it and fix it, or get out of the way and go on to find one you like. But in public, you are an advocate for your institution, your high school, for me, my company. And my company had all kinds of problems. And any company that doesn't, right? Insurance companies don't have problems. We had all kinds of problems. I know, we either get on board and help fixing them, or just find something else, but no bashing, especially to your people. Imagine the head of a firm standing up and saying, hey, the company we represent really stinks. They're no good. They're too slow. They don't do right by their customer. Bad customer service. They're horrible. What kind of leadership would that be? In private, you go there and you battle to fix it, to make it better. And when you're dealing with your institution, you're an ambassador for the people that you are an advocate for. Our team needs new compression gear. When you battle for that with your institution in private, in public, you defend the institution. Just make it a rule. Oh, wrong way. Oh, yes, it was the right way. Okay, you are an ambassador for your staff and employees. So if I'm reading things, and by the way, when you have a good relationship with your institution, they have resources that I need. They have all kinds of stuff. I want to do a PR campaign. I want to do an ad. They have experts in that. I want to be on that team. The institution has the 16-inch guns, and you don't want them pointing at you. You want to be behind them, with them. You want to be saying, hey, this is what I need to take us to another level. And that's what you need to do in business. You got to get on board with that. So when you're with them, my guys need this. You guys aren't doing this right. You're the ambassador for the people that are on your team. You're the ambassador, and you battle for the things you folks need with your institution, with the institution in private. And in public, you carry the flag. And by the way, if you don't do it their way, you will get the highway. You want to be a renegade? I'm going to run my office differently. You imagine a McDonald's franchise owner saying, I'm not putting up the golden arches. I'm not doing the golden arches. Your franchise is going to be gone. They have the big guns. Most of the time, there are these few exceptions where there have been some people that thought they were bigger than the very institution you represent. Those usually fall the hardest. It has been my experience. Get on board with the institution, carry their flag, get involved, help fix their stuff, and be positive in public. And if you don't do it their way, a word of caution, you may be taking the highway out, because it's their football. Now, you make that analogy in your school and in your college and in your university, but generally speaking, that probably applies. So be involved, serve on a committee, give back, and all of these three things together, these pillars together, will help everybody do a little better. And we only need one more kid per roster, and we solved our diminishing numbers. Okay. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I left one out. Whether you like it or not, you are a reflection on the institution you represent. You do good things in your community. On your free time, you run something. You coach a little league team. You are a positive reflection on your institution. You become valuable. The flip is true. It's not only when you are at your work, because the headlines in the newspaper will say, Joe Savino recently was arrested for drunk driving, where he injured 2 people. He is the managing partner for Northwestern Mutual. I'm going to be getting a phone call. Guys are wearing black hats and they're going to show up in my office. They're going to fly in on the company plane. Yeah. If that says head coach at University of recently did thus and so, you are. There's no time off on this. Your Facebook account, if you don't know this, particularly large institutions, they're looking at all your social media. We looked at every candidate's Facebook, mostly Facebook account before we hired them. We're looking at public at social media. I want to see what's going on weekends a little bit, because my good name's going to be attached to it. Okay. So I'm going to be getting to the end and wrapping up here. I want to make a few quick comments about Wrestles and Business Network and the All-Star Match. Wrestles and Business Network is a group of dedicated business people. We have chapters 14 or 15. We have an interest in promoting our sport. We have an interest in doing business with each other. If I need an attorney, I'm going to go to my Wrestles and Business roster. And I'm going to call a guy that's a member, and I'm going to say, hey, this is what we need. We're getting a new lease in our building, and you do leases. Yep. We all just feel safer. You're going to get a fair shake. I'm talking to another wrestler. The word's going to get out if he's not acting appropriately. So we are networking with each other to promote each other's business. In theory, do well. In theory, can give more back. When we support wrestling events, and you all should have a chapter in your community, because our chapter, we gave away a lot of money last year. We're about ready to buy a mat for junior high school. We're going to get some gear for another program. We're sponsoring Trenton Youth Wrestling to help the youth in Trenton get going. We gave money to a number of universities and colleges. We happen to be in a very rich wrestling community. We have Rutgers right there. Where's Scott? Are you here, Scott Goodell? Where's my neighbor? My Jersey guys are in the house. We give money back. Rider University, Princeton University. They need money. Nah, they don't need money. It doesn't matter how much we have, though. Everybody wants another dollar, So we're College of New Jersey. We're supporting these programs. Where's College of New Jersey, guys? Where's other New Jersey boys here? So anyway, we're working with these folks. You should have this in your community. So here's what I just want to tell you about this. You know who it is in your town. You know that guy or woman that loves wrestling shows up. You know it. They have a little business in town. You know who they are. you need to just get on the phone and say, I want to tell you about this organization, Wrestles in Business. I'm going to just tell you, everybody, all 500, call Mike Moyer. Sorry, Mike. Call Mike. He's got some great material. Our board is willing to get on the phone. We take road trips to help start chapters. We think this could underpin some of the things we're trying to do in the community to grow our sport. And the example was that Princeton applied, we would decline for 2 or 3 years, and then finally Mike approved us so we could run the All-Star event. And we had a spectacular event in our community, thousands of people. We had 500 kids at the clinic, and the local chapter put it on. We had to raise money. We were calling on people to donate. We raised a bunch of money, gave all the money back to the community. So if you're not familiar with the wrestling business, I want to put a little plug in for it in your hometown. You know who the guy is. There's a guy or 2 or 3 that just love your program. They like you. They want to give back. They're looking for a place. And it's to help them build their business off of. So I want to wrap up here this morning with a video. Now I started talking with you today about the noble work that I believe wrestling coaches do. I'm actually admirers of the work you all do. Often unglorified work on Tuesday nights in a dark gym somewhere with 28 fans, But I did talk about why you do it. And I find in my life and in my business and the things I've done in my family is that if your why is really big, then the how becomes a little easier. So this is a little video. It's only about 90 seconds. I think you'll like it. And if we could, I'm going to just if we could roll the Know Your Why. Let's just watch the video. Can we roll that, please? Should I click? Okay, good.
You can write everything down if you want to. Be brave enough to write every one of your goals down. But I'm going to tell you something. Life's going to hit you in your mouth, and you got to do it a huge favor. Your why has to be greater than that knockdown. And I love it. Buster Douglas got knocked out. Nobody ever got knocked out by Mike Tyson and ever got back up. It was almost a 10 count. He was stumbling. They were 4, 3, 2, 1. He sang by the bell. He goes to his corner. The whole world is like, that's it. Once he comes back out, that's it. Mike's going to just hammer it. And exactly that. Mike Tyson came out like, I got him. I got this kid up against the rope. Listen to me, many of you right now. Life got you up against the rope. You can't give up. You can't give in. Listen to me, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And if life got you backed up, I need you to do what Buster Douglas did. Buster Douglas started fighting back. World was shocked. Goliath has been knocked down. What happened? And it went to Buster Douglas and they asked Buster Douglas simply like, what happened? And Buster Douglas said, listen to me, it's real simple. Before my mother died, she told the whole world that I was going to be Mike Tyson. And 2 days before the fight, my mother died. Buster Douglas had a decision to make. When his mother died, he can die with his mother, or he made a decision, I can wake up and I can live for mom. And he knocked Mike Tyson out. Simply because his why was greater than that punch. His why was greater than his feet. His why was greater than his trial and his tribulations. And I'm telling you, if you don't know what your why is, and your why isn't strong, you're going to get knocked out every single day.
Thank you. Great. So I want to wrap up where I started. I said, you all have a great why. You build people. And when you get knocked in the teeth, and you will, just remember your why. And most likely that'll carry you through tough times. It has really been a pleasure and my honor to speak with you today. Have a great conference. Enjoy. My pleasure. Thank you.
The Short Time Wrestling Podcast is proudly outfitted by Compound Clothing. Shirts, singlets, custom gear orders, everything you need. Call up Cliff and the crew at cmpteamwear.com. First time listening? Well, you can change that by going to mattalkonline.com/getshorttime to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or listen on your favorite podcatcher at MattTalkOnline.com/listen.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.